So, Godot 4.7 is finally here, everyone is excited about it, and honestly so am I. This is one of the updates that got me excited not because of a single feature, but because of how many small improvements it brings to the engine. When you use Godot every day, you start noticing certain gaps, things that exist in other engines but are missing here, features that aren't deal breakers at all, but that make your workflow harder than it needs to be. And with 4.7, it feels like Godot is closing the gap. Let's start with the new asset store. The old asset library worked, but let's be honest, it was starting to show its age. The new version looks much more professional. It feels closer to what you'd expect from Unity or Unreal Engine. Everything is cleaner, everything is easier to browse, assets are properly tagged, the entire experience feels more polished. This isn't just good for existing users, it's also great for newcomers. One of the biggest challenges for new Godot users is simply finding tools, plugins, and resources. This should make the process much easier. Transform offset for control nodes. This is a feature UI designers are going to love. If you ever built interfaces in Godot, you've probably run into situations where positioning things felt more complicated than it should. Maybe you wanted to animate an element, or maybe you just want to slightly offset a control. Maybe you just wanted more flexibility. Now you have it. Being able to use transform offsets directly on control nodes opens up a lot of possibilities, especially for UI-heavy games. Another feature I'm really happy to see in Godot is 3D vertex snapping, and honestly this one was long overdue. I use Blender almost every day, and every time I switched back to Godot I felt like something was missing. Placing objects wasn't always easy. Sometimes all you wanted to do was align a few blocks or snap a prop into place. Simple tasks could become surprisingly frustrating. Vertex snapping fixes almost all of that, and it's a huge win for level design. In the past, a lot of developers relied on Blender workflow just to compensate for these limitations, but now Godot takes a big step forward. Let's talk about a smaller feature: improved drag and drop for nodes. It sounds minor, but if you ever worked on a large scene, you will know exactly how annoying it can be to reorganize your nodes, especially when you need to move things around and the workflow feels smoother overall. Another feature I really like is object tracking in the editor. You select an object, press F twice, and the editor camera follows it. Very simple, but incredibly useful. Anyone who does level design has experienced this. You move an object, move the camera, move the object again, and then the camera again, repeat over and over again. This small addition removes a lot of that friction, and it should make building larger environments much more comfortable. Now let's talk about one of my favorite features in the entire update: the new Mesh Library Editor. I've used grid maps for years, I love them. They basically feel like tile maps for 3D games. The problem was always maintaining the mesh library itself. Updating assets could be painful, and re-importing assets could also be really hard to do. And if something went wrong, suddenly all of your mesh ideas were out of order. If you've worked with grid maps before, you know the struggle. Sometimes it gets so messy that reverting to an older commit feels easier than fixing it. The new Mesh Library Editor solves a lot of those issues. It feels much closer to a proper tile map workflow. Another great quality of life improvement is resource searching. Before, assigning resources often meant scrolling through huge lists, textures, materials, custom resources, whatever you were looking for. Now you can simply search for it. It's a small change, but those are often the changes that save most of the time. And finally, we also have a new trackball style rotation system. You can see that in the video, and honestly, it feels much better. And working in 3D environments becomes a little less frustrating in Godot, which is exactly what a good editor feature should do. So for me, this is one of the best updates in terms of level design, especially because it introduces a lot of good quality of life updates, and they're going to help a lot of users. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you guys in the next one.